So I wanted to direct your attention to physics.org. Israeli library uploads Newton's theological texts. So it says here about Sir Isaac Newton that he was a devout Christian who dealt far more in theology than he did in physics, and believed the scripture provided a code to the natural world. Today we tend to make a distinction between science and faith, but to Newton it was all part of the same world. He believed that careful study of the holy books and it was a type of science that, if analyzed correctly, would predict what was to come. The collection also contains maps that Newton sketched to assist him in calculating his attempts to reveal the secret knowledge he believed was encrypted within. He attempted to project what the last days would look like and the role Jews would play when it happened. His objective curiosity of Judaism and the Holy Land contrasted with the anti-Jewish sentiment expressed by many leading Christian scholars of the era. He took a great interest in the Jews. We found no negative expression toward Jews in his writing. He said the Jews were ultimately returned to their land. He said his massive collection of work ended up in the Jewish state seems mystical in its own right. Then I'll just read the last part. It says, as far as Newton was concerned, his approach was that history was as much a science as physics. His worldview was his lab for understanding history was the holy books. His faith was no less important to him than his science. So this is code for, as we Christians today, we would call Sir Isaac Newton a wacko, crazy, a quack. Because anybody who looks at theology different from the average person, or who I would say that some of his work looks as though it was Watchman type work, what would it interest him to know what the end days are or were? Especially with discovering they were probably far off from where he was. He was very interested in what they look like. This is kind of natural. There's nothing weird about wanting to know what the end days would look like. There's something about it that I think is extremely human. And not only are the prophets being pushed off, which again, this is a pendulum. You got the prophets who just go off the edge with whatever they're saying, and then you got, the Mike Winger types, what I actually lean toward. And I would say that there's a balance. There's a balance, and I think that finding that balance is really key right now. I know plenty of people who are not, wacky evangelical folks who are like, you don't need to tell me what the stars look like, or you could just feel in your spirit what day we're in. And now what that means, maybe it's just for our country, maybe it's just people here feel like it's the end for us, and maybe we'd be right. Maybe for us it would be true, especially something really massively sad happened to us. So I don't know how else to interpret it, but whenever I hear pastors kind of go off the rails, because I know they have a secret, I guess you could say, pet peeve about how they're sick of listening to the end times, because it can drag people into cults. I get it. But I think when you have things like the media, who have made a conscious decision to hide the ball and forever repeat the name Trump over and over again, and Biden over and over again, and I don't know why people wouldn't be any less intelligent than what they are. I mean, they should be a lot more stupid because all of our media is Trump, Trump, Biden, Biden, Trump, Trump, Biden, Biden, Trump, Trump, Biden, Biden, Trump, Trump, Biden. Meanwhile, we got the locusts in Africa. It's taken over half of Africa. They have a major crisis over there. Nobody's talking about it. They moved over into India. India's got 2 types of locusts. Nobody's talking about it. And then India's friends got locusts too, 2 types. Nobody's talking about it. Middle East has got locusts. It's moving up into Israel. Nobody's talking about it. Brazil's got locusts. Nobody's talking about it. The meteors. Go look them up. I don't need to tell you. Okay, I don't need to tell you about the meteors. Okay, go look it up. Nobody's going to talk about it. Nobody's going to tell you about it. Those mysterious booms happen to be these things breaking they're coming from outer space. I don't even know what the heck these things are, but they're breaking in the sky, creating loud booms and shaking the ground. Nobody knows what that is. But we're supposed to just kind of, I think that the other side of the spectrum is, don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your lying eyes. I know it's like, why would you study the earthquakes? Well, I've always had a natural interest in the earthquakes. I've always seen personally the connection between science and what God is saying. So when God talks of a great earthquake, I feel like I sit at a very privileged, knowledgeable place, because I've been watching people like Dutch Sense predict earthquakes. He didn't say, thus says the Lord, this is where the next earthquake hits. He's saying, I can tell because this earthquake hit here and this earthquake hit here. There's missing energy. You want to know how he knows there's missing energy? Because all the plates are connected together. And all the plates all affect each other. So he's even trying to teach people how to predict it, because it's science. It's science. So if somebody says to me as a Christian who has not been studying these earthquakes, there was a huge 10 earthquake over here in this strange area. That's the earthquake God was talking about. Jesus is coming soon. I'd say, no, that's not true. Because the fact that I know how the earthquakes work, because I've been watching somebody predict earthquakes for years, I know all the plates are connected together. There is a point, a fulcrum point out in the ocean that where the deep earthquakes actually originate from. You can show people on record, because it's recorded on the 3D earthquake thing, that they come from that place, and how, as big as they are, it creates a wave effect, and it goes out like this, out into the ring of fire, into these other tectonic plates. And the great earthquake that I'm using Sir Isaac Newton as a point here, because the great earthquake literally means the whole world would feel it, and the mystery would be how fast, what the intensity would be for the end of the tectonic plate people, and for the end of the other side. That would be a mystery. How fast it would move across the tectonic plate would be its own mystery. The timeline between when Europe feels the great earthquake and when America would, that would be kind of interesting. But what's not a mystery now, because of all the scientific things that we know, is this great earthquake mean all the world would feel it. It would literally tear the whole world in half, because all the plates are connected together. And some of these sleeping plates are actually starting to move now, like the new Madrid. It's starting to move. And I've been watching Dutch Sense just naturally, because I'm amazed that this guy gets it right. I mean, it's weird. It's like he can read it. I keep trying to predict too. I keep trying to say, oh, well, based on what he, formula he creates, I think I can predict the next one too, but I never can. He's good. He's really, really good. He knows the weak spots in the crust are the calderas. He knows the weak spots in the crust are the fracture zones. He's good. He's able to read the hot spots he just discovered is amazing. Even as he's predicting the earthquake out in Baja, he's like, oh yeah, and there's also hot spots. That's double confirmation. The next one will be in Baja. Interesting. The dude is on. But I'm not analyzing the guy. I'm just saying, like, now when somebody says the great earthquake happened, it's like, well, that means the whole world would have to feel it. It would literally tear the world in two. So when Jesus is talking about this great earthquake, or Revelations is talking about the great earthquake, Jesus is like, oh, there'll be various earthquakes here and there, but the time's not yet. That's absolutely true. It won't be, oh, well, there's a big one over here, there's a big one over there, and this one's starting to move. No, it would be huge. We have the science now that Sir Isaac Newton didn't have, that shows us that this great earthquake would literally reverberate around the world at the same time, tearing the world in half, because all these plates will be moving at the same time. It's amazing. So my thing is this: I don't think removing watchmen is the plan. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think, because it sounds like Sir Isaac Newton was a watchman. He preoccupied his time with trying to figure out the signs of the time. And I don't think he did it to benefit himself. I think he did because he's naturally interested in it, as some people are. And I believe if you are called to be a watchman, you would be naturally just interested in it. And I think if you're just doing it to scare people, I think that's wrong. I think if you're doing it just to convince people of something so they can be part of an occult, or if, oh, Jesus is coming within this next year, I think that's messed up. I think we would all know at some point, with things like a great earthquake and all these things happening at the same time, we would all know. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, when these things start to increase, the watchmen are called to make sure that we know to get our house in order to meet the Antichrist, to get our spiritual house in order to be martyred. We all know that's kind of part of the calling of the end times, is to be martyred. It is to make sure that and that's why Jesus says stay on guard. It's like, I don't really know what's wrong with keeping, to me it's keeping the oil lamp lit, to say, is Jesus coming? Is Jesus coming? Now, should it be the whole thing that feeds you? Absolutely not. And there are some people who are only fed by the end times and only fed by Jesus Christ coming. But he's meeting people now because they're dying in huge numbers according to the media. And I don't know what the mystery is of meeting Jesus Christ after you die, but I'm pretty sure they're on the other side of that, meeting him wherever they are in that parallel universe. So I'm just saying, like, it is pretty, especially in times that we're living in right now, you might want to ask yourself, if he were to come tomorrow, which he won't. He could come any day, but I'm positive it's not tomorrow, and I'm positive it's not the end of the year. But if he did come, are you ready? The Antichrist came, would you recognize him? In looking to these things, from what the Holy Spirit has told me, is what will reveal to you your salvation draws nigh. Your redemption draws nigh. Meaning, as the world itself gets more and more chaotic, the people who are in the end times will be able to see their deliverance coming from the sky, just like the people in the time of Moses. They'll see these things falling around them, and they're the ones who are being protected, and they'll realize this is because Jesus is coming soon. So and getting ourselves ready to not need, for example, the media to tell us something, or our families to tell us something, that we're going to have to start depending on other things, through the Spirit. And these things do deliver people, just like with the apostles being in prison. Earthquake delivered the apostle out of prison. So I'm just saying, like, these things do deliver people, like, the stars falling from the sky. When it happens, it's going to be obvious. I'm not saying it's not going to be, but I do think the increase in things on all levels, there is some place you can look for the increase of the times coming to a head. And if you're called to be a watchman, be a watchman. But I'm not going to wear blood on my hands and say don't watch. I'm not going to wear blood on my hands and say you shouldn't know the difference between the great earthquake and the various earthquakes Jesus told you not to worry about. I'm not going to wear blood on my hands and say and lie and say meteor things aren't happening, because these look at the videos online. They're huge, and they're happening now, and they're increasing every single year. So that's a lie. It's a lie to say these things aren't happening. So I think that's the other side of the coin. When we start saying, don't believe your lying eyes, it looks like things are getting weird, but they're really not. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. And I'm not a quack. I'm not a crazy person, because I have an inkling and an inclination in a way that I share with other people who happen to, one of which happens to be somebody like Sir Isaac Newton. It's not weird. You're not weird because you're looking at the Bible and looking at the way in which things move like tectonic plates and saying, I get it. I totally know what the great earthquake would be. It wouldn't be one major earthquake like just in Israel. The whole world will be, because all the plates are connected together. He wouldn't know that. We know that now. That's amazing. But anyway, this is Linda of Christ is King forever. May God be with you.